Okay. In the words of Jackie Joyner Corsi, age is not a barrier, it's a limitation you put on your mind. Have you come across an instance in which a 17-year-old is hiring people? That's right, a 17-year-old not looking for a job, but creating jobs. Say, for example, if Coach Goff wanted to be the manager of a hotel. She goes for an interview, and a 17-year-old girl is interviewing her and determining whether or not she is qualified for the job. This is exactly what I strive to do. I took ISM in order to provide me with the resources to make a mark on the world, to be that 17-year-old that creates jobs for people. Good morning, my name is Uma Patel, and I am a second-year student in ISM. I cannot express how excited I am for this upcoming year because of all the opportunities that are available. I'm an outgoing, hardworking, and honest person. My ultimate goal is to own my own successful business. That's not to say I haven't already created a business. The name of my company was Minit Designs, and creating and operating this business has been the greatest life-changing experience. After this point, my passion for business grew tenfold, and I became bent on becoming an entrepreneur. I've learned that it is not the physical product that I create for the business, but the experience that I get from creating and operating the business. Throughout this year, I've conducted many interviews because I believe that interviews are the #1 component for expanding your knowledge. And I reached out to the Dallas Entrepreneur Center and interviewed various entrepreneurs there with very unique personalities. My first interview was with Deborah Swirsky, and she is an enterprising and energetic entrepreneur. So the title Enterprising and Energetic Entrepreneur is enterprising and energetic are adjectives that she uses to describe her career and her personality. So she's an individually motivated person who helps people build on their personal strengths in order to help them succeed on their businesses. And this is the first time that I've ever come across an instance where I saw this as a career, because she basically created her own career. There's no listed career that says enterprising and energetic entrepreneur. So the impact that she's had on different companies and their growth potentials has been enormous, and she's the one that encouraged me to apply to Babson College, which is the #1 college for entrepreneurship, and even told me that she would write me a recommendation letter for that college. The second interview was Mr. Michael Sitareski, and he is the CEO of Epic Playground. And he's done many things with his life, but the outpoint that I saw in him was his viewpoint on life. He has an 11-year-old son, and this is interesting because he does not send his son to school. And he doesn't believe in the traditional means of schooling and keeping yourself wound up in a bubble. So what he does is he makes his son spend 4 hours on Khan Academy every day, and then he has the rest of the day to do whatever he wants to do. And through this, he told me that his son is 11 years old and knows how to code so well. Like, he can make websites, and he's just an amazing coder. He's a great artist, and it's allowed him to experience opportunities and live in a different world where entrepreneurship is encouraged. He leads the weekly DOCC in Dallas if anyone is interested in digital information, more about coding or entrepreneurship. And he also leads and brought the Startup Week organization to Dallas. So that's called Dallas Startup Week. And for 1 week, all types of people, different entrepreneurs, different coders, and other types of people get together and create a business from start to finish. And that starts from the business plan to actually executing and presenting the business to a panel of judges. My third interview was with Miss Jessica Heer, and she is the Vice President of Economic Development at the Dallas Regional Chamber. So if you've ever been to downtown Dallas, there's a large glass tower, and it's called the Ross Tower. And as soon as I stepped foot in this building, I felt like I was in New York, because whenever I rode up the elevator, it was just a different experience that I hadn't had before, or a view of Dallas that I hadn't seen. And I enjoyed the urban scope of being able to work and live in the city of Dallas. So what she does as the Vice President of Economic Development at the Dallas Regional Chamber of Commerce is working with companies that are considering moving and expanding. And an example of this would be Toyota. So Toyota was brought recently, they're creating their headquarters in the Colony. So she was the one that gave the information to Toyota and provided them with incentives and benefits in order to help them relocate their employees, mainly from California to Texas. And I got to learn from her about all the different functions of a regional chamber and the impacts that it has on the economic development of the city of Dallas. My fourth interview was with Mr. James Webb, and he is the co-founder and president of Preferred Medical Holdings. So he inspired me to never give up and to go at any dream. He is a self-made he calls himself a serial entrepreneur because he had lived in a poor life where he told me that one day he flipped a coin and he said, if it's heads, I'll go to Dallas. If it's tails, I'll go to Atlanta. And it landed on heads. He drove to Dallas, didn't have a place to stay, slept in his car the first day, and had to pick it up and figure out how to get his life started. So he told me about his career evolution, and just the different paths that he's taken, and all of the different products and devices that he invests in. So there was a stack of papers laying on his desk, and I asked him, I said, what are all these files? And he said, each of these files is a different product that I'm investing in. And I was completely amazed because there were probably 15 piles just sitting on his desks of different products that he invests in that he believes will have a life-changing impact and grow to be very successful. So he invests in not only medical holdings and those types of medical related industries, but many different industries. And I got to learn a lot about entrepreneurship and business, how one person has the time to be able, and effort and energy to be able to invest in so many different areas. My fifth interview was with Miss MJ Pritchard, and she's the Vice President of the Frisco Chamber of Commerce. She told me about the role of the Chamber of Commerce in the city of Frisco, and right now Frisco is booming. There are many different sports teams relocating. The Dallas Stars practice facility is coming here. Dallas Cowboys, I'm sorry. And she told me about how they work with the economic development team in Frisco to promote business in the city of Frisco. So all of the different incentives and roles that they have whenever they are considering bringing a piece of business here and how it affects families here, the jobs, the economic potential. The next most important component besides interviews is research. And one of the schools that I'm highly interested in attending is Cornell. So their Cornell School of Hospitality Management Administration. And I read publications from various professors in the Cornell School that were published online, and that would be in marketing, sales, finance, every department possible, and learned as much as I could in order to apply it to my mentorship that I will talk about later in my presentation. And I also researched different types of sales information because I'm currently a sales coordinator, and researched about the business that I plan to create from my original work. So my main point with research is finding a way to apply that research and put it to real-world use. Currently, I am a sales coordinator at a dual-branded hotel, and it has 17,000 feet of event space, which is a huge amount of event space. So the hotel sells mainly whenever groups are able to rent out its space. And it's flexible meeting space, so as a sales coordinator, my role is very important. I have 5 sales managers that I handle tasks for, and each manager is responsible for different pieces of business, whether that be corporate, transient, social events, and being able to coordinate, give clients walks around the hotel has really expanded my social skills as well as my knowledge of the industry. In order to begin this position, I completed Hotel Sales Pro in order to input each of the sales proposals, and this software is extremely important in order to coordinate all of the different events and things that happen. So it required much training, reading, and certification so that I could take a test and become licensed. For my original work, I created a business plan for the company Hospitality Promos. As I mentioned earlier in my introduction, I have created a business before. It was called Minded Designs, and I started it with the help of the Young Entrepreneurs Academy. The process of creating this business really changed my entire outlook on life, and this is when I decided that I'm going to go into business and become an entrepreneur and one day own my own business. This business, Minded Designs, I operated for 2 years, and the process of creating the business plan for me is one of the most important processes, because creating a business plan allows you to research each component and thoroughly think about how you're going to strategize in order to execute the business whenever it is run. So all of the time and the thought that went into creating the business plan, talking to people to see whether it is logical to do, creating the numbers and forecasting was something that I'm very interested in. In order to complete the business plan, I had to reach out to a few of my uncles and ask them how they are already running this company or similar types of companies. And a lot of personal growth stemmed from this experience, because I was able to go and reflect on each of my learning experiences in my 2 years of ISM and combine each of them to produce this work. So Hospitality Promos, this is my business card and my website. It's called www.hospitalitypromos.com, and it's a promotional products distributor that's a member of the Advertising Sales Institute. So through this company, it's not me that's creating the product, but other vendors that are, so I'm the middleman between the client and the vendor. There will be a client who says, I want 50 logoed water bottles. So then they will choose their water bottles that they want, and I communicate with the vendor in order to get the client their water bottles. So this is an interesting way for me to really reflect on a simple business in order to gain the skills needed for entrepreneurship as well as communication, and gives me good experience on a startup business. So this is my mentor. Her name is Elisa Burdich, and she is the Director of Sales and Events at the Dual Branded Hotel. Through her, I have an opportunity to spend 1 week with each of the different sales managers and learn about the different types of business that come into the hotel. In addition, I have special projects that she assigns me in order to expand my knowledge of the industry as well as help out at the hotel. And through her, I've had the ability to fully understand the hospitality industry, because sales and events is the department in the hotel that connects and communicates with every single department. Whenever a sales lead or a group is brought in, then the front desk is the person checking them in. They have to know how to staff accordingly. The bistro, the food and beverage department need to be able to know how many people to expect in order to execute their part correctly. Housekeeping has to know how many people to staff in order to turn the rooms around for the next day if the occupancy is at 100%. And so through her, I've had the opportunity to have a variety of learning experiences and truly grasp how the hospitality industry is as a whole and how ISM has helped me. So throughout these past years, I've had the opportunity. Last year I studied finance, and finance was more of I realized that I like to be around people and I need to be able to talk to people. So when I'm doing my internship as a sales coordinator, one of my favorite things is making sales calls and just talking to the other person on the line, having the ability to communicate with them to see how I can help accomplish their needs and finish all of that. And in addition, I plan to pursue my bachelor's degree at UT Austin Macomb School of Business, and in order to do that, my next plans in ISM are to spend the mornings of A days in the corporate office, working under the director of accounting and learning how to basic accounting procedures, which I have had knowledge of QuickBooks and other basic softwares. And then, as I said earlier, my dream is to be a business owner and hopefully someday own my own business, successful business. I will own a business. And thank you all for attending. I want to especially thank my mentor, my parents, and each person in the audience for coming to my presentation.